Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative Podcast. This is the podcast and talk show where we have digital discussions from the worlds of TV, film, pop culture, social media, sports, music, lifestyle, everything really, depending on the guest. We talk about it all. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis. On social media, you know me as PD Beats. You will recognize my guest from a show on Netflix called You, and she also stars in the film The Wall of Mexico. We're with Carmela Zumbado. Carmela, welcome to Popternative.
Thanks so much for hanging out. This is fun.
No problem. I mean, let's cut to the chase. I mean, the film is just like with everything going on, and the name, right? The Wall of Mexico. You know what I mean? But it's maybe not what people think. Can you talk a little bit about the film and your character in this film as well?
Yeah, the film is really cool. That's the best part of it all, is that you see that title and you're like, oh God, what is this about? But it's really not what you think. It's a really artsy, beautifully shot, colorful film. And you kind of just got to watch it to be able to grasp your own understanding of what it's trying to say. It's really not on the nose kind of film. So I think that's the fun that viewers can really have with it, that it's just not what you think, and you can kind of come to your own conclusions about what it's really trying to say.
Absolutely. And you kind of mentioned like the artsy, like one thing that stuck out to me with this film is how it looks. I mean, the directors of cinematography did an amazing job with this. Is it safe to say that the director of cinematographies, director of photography, they are like the unsung heroes, Carmela?
They really are. They're the ones that make us look good. I mean, as much as writing can go and set design and props and everything and acting that goes into a film, I just really bow down to our DPs and anybody in the whole cinematography side of things, because this film feels like a music video. It's just gorgeous. Every single shot just feels like some kind of still frame of art. And for me, those are the kind of movies that I love to watch. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I totally agree with you. I think the visuals in this are just why everybody, can find something to really connect with. And it's beautifully shot. I could watch it forever.
For sure. And whether you're an actor, people that write, people that direct, produce, I refer to you as storytellers. So for you specifically, for Carmela Zumbado, when did that storytelling acting bug kind of hit you? When did you decide that was something you want to do?
What's so funny is that I am one of three sisters who are all actors.
Wow.
And we were little, we just loved performing for our family. And at that point, it was just our abuela and our abuelo and a couple of aunts and uncles and mom and dad. But we always just made up some kind of makeshift stage in our living room. And we just like to make people laugh or cry or, feel any kind of emotion. So that definitely started with my sisters when we were like 2, 3, and 4 years old. And then kind of just became a career, which is a cool thing to say.
It's funny, when I ask that question a lot on the show, you get that a lot. I was doing plays with my friends and my family. Like, you get that answer a lot more than I thought, to be honest with you.
It's really funny. Yeah, it's just something that's engraved within. Like, a lot of times I'll have the thought of, I should have studied medicine, or I should have gone into science or something. But this was just engraved within the three of us since we were young. And we're really lucky to have made a career out of it.
Absolutely. And I mentioned at the top, a lot of people will recognize you as well from season 2 of a very popular show called You, which is on Netflix. And I remember when season 1 kind of dropped, everyone was talking about this, and it didn't stop for season 2 as well. There's kind of new cast members that come in, but like the hype was just unbelievable. I just kind of want to know, what was kind of was it kind of a calm before the storm, like maybe like a couple of days before it kind of launched? Like, what was that like?
Oh, yeah. I think the way that Netflix markets their shows is really cool, where they'll just drop a couple little like interesting teasers and stuff. And it was really calm before, and then things just popped off when it came out, just because that show is so incredible because of our writers, and they just make it so explosive that it's one of those shows that you cannot put down after you started episode 1, and you just get to episode 10 within 2 days, and that's it. So I credit our writers for the whole explosive nature of that show. They're so amazing.
Has it hit you that you're part of like a Netflix show?
It's a huge honor. It's the craziest little family to be a part of, and I just feel really grateful I was able to do it, and hopefully there'll be another one soon. We'll see.
Absolutely. we talked about obviously a film like The Wall of Mexico, and we've talked to you, which is television. I'm curious to know about this because some people kind of prepare for it and kind of tackle TV and film like the same, you know what I mean? But how do you kind of see TV and film as a storyteller and as an actor and working in the industries? Are there certain ways that you'd prepare differently for certain TV shows compared to films, or is it kind of the same for you?
You know, I always before I started out, I always really wanted to do action films and something crazy and badass. And then I did this one indie film that incorporated zombies and horror. And shooting a film like that requires a ton of incredible physical stamina. And after you've gotten a couple of those out of your belt, or any kind of show where you're screaming and crying, it kind of makes you want to go into comedy and go into TV and go into things that are more lighthearted sometimes. So for me right now, I think like the next thing I want to do is one of those really cheesy multicam comedies with like a laugh track where you can just laugh blood and having to do athletic training before movies and things. So yeah, there's definitely different preparation, but it's a wonderful honor to be able to switch it up.
Absolutely. No, for sure. You mentioned kind of like the zombie horror. I just honestly find too, I'm sure it doesn't go unnoticed, like that genre, like horror movies, is just like insane lately. That's become one of the most popular. It's like hot sauce. Remember when hot sauce was really popular? It was like the it food. Horror is like the it product right now for film.
It really is, and they're a lot harder to film than you think. And I just bow down to anybody who's currently filming one or has filmed one. But yeah, they're not easy, but it's a lot of fun once they're done.
So The Wall of Mexico, I mean, people see the trailer for it. In terms of, take us through kind of the timelines. I mean, when did you kind of shoot this film? And, in terms of, release dates and everything, like, just take us kind of through it and all. Did the film get kind of released in, like, any festivals? Like, take us through that a little bit with The Wall of Mexico.
So yeah, we shot it. It's really interesting because the film takes place in Southern California. It's about a Mexican American families in Southern California. But what's cool is that we actually shot it in Mexico, even though it doesn't take place in Mexico.
That's interesting, yeah.
Yeah, we're able to have this half Mexican, half American crew, and it was really cool to see the two countries coming together to make this beautiful piece of art happen. And art will always be something that connects us to our neighbors. So that was just amazing to be able to work with a Mexican crew to film the film. But we shot it a couple years ago, and then it premiered in South by Southwest. And so that's where we were able to get some eyes on it. And it just, because of Corona and everything, we're finally getting to our release now. And so we're just super excited for, everybody to be able to get to see it outside of the film festival circuit.
It's funny when you work on a project like 3-4 years ago and then like it's finally out. I mean, what emotions kind of go through your head? I mean, like, do you ever like maybe not forget about it, but like I find that kind of a unique misconception of the industry as well, where people see kind of a film that's released and with everything going on, and even before COVID, production issues and delays happen all the time. You know what I mean? So a film that's released in 2020 could have been filmed like in 2017. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I filmed this before I filmed you, a year or two before I filmed you, but it's coming out afterwards. So it might feel like this is something that I did after the fact, but this was really the first big feature film I got to do, or first big project that I got to do, and working with actors on that caliber have been really amazing. And so yeah, it's kind of like a weird timeline jump, but we definitely filmed this a long time ago, and we're just so excited it's finally out. But that's how the world of independent film making works. You got to really be patient to finally see your outcome.
And I think it's pretty cool too, because you look at the cast of The Wall of Mexico, and you have yourself and you, and then you have, of course, people that have been on some huge shows like Ozark and How to Get Away with Murder, that's Morales, and then of course Moises Arias, who was in Hannah Montana. It's like, that's kind of cool too. You guys have really big resumes under your belts.
Oh yeah, we have an eclectic cast. We have Xander Berkeley from Walking Dead. We have Alex Meneses from Telenovela. So it was really cool as actors to be able to, in our downtime, share stories about different sets. And also as a newcomer, just to be able to learn from people like Isai and Jackson, who have been in this for years, to be able to learn from them and observe from them on set while we're acting. I was always just like in bow down mode, working with them all, and that's just something I'll never forget. And they're just as incredible human beings as they are actors. So that was that was a wonderful
But
experience.
I find that interesting that you said before, Carmela, that you shot this before you shot You, but then You came out before this came out. And I find that interesting because that can kind of be seen as a good thing too, though, right? For the film as well. You got all this notoriety from You, and maybe all the fans that enjoyed You and enjoy your performance of You will get to see this movie. Maybe it worked out, right?
Asking, okay, where do you want next? And I'm just so glad that this has lined up, that it's something I can divert people to and say, well, there's this coming out. So I'm glad.
Yeah. And I do have to say, people who follow you on social media, you do have a pretty big following, and over the past couple of months, it's kind of developed and got bigger and bigger from all the fans all over the world on You. I think your kind of following is a testament to how global Netflix is, and people have access to it all over the world. But it's kind of like cliche, but like, have you ever thought of the fact that you have a really big following and there's kind of that responsibility because you have that big kind of reach? Have you ever thought about that a little bit?
What's interesting is I'm well aware that a lot of people don't follow celebrities or actors for their political opinions or ethical situations that are going on. But what I love to be able to do is just connect with a multitude of types of people from all over the world, because it really takes you out of the little bubble that you live in LA.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think it's a huge honor to be able to connect with people in India, in Brazil, in London, people that I would have never spoken to otherwise, and just see how they're living and what their thoughts are. And I love reading messages from people and seeing how they interpret things that are happening in America but overseas. So yeah, I think it's a privilege that we're able to have this audience. We're also able to gain introspection towards how other people are living all across the globe, and I love that Netflix is a platform for that.
Absolutely. And I feel like the last 5 years of everything going on, I feel like specifically, looking at, 2020, even before that, the amount of content being created and the amount of content being consumed. I mean, we definitely like use content as an escape. And I feel like these days specifically, a lot of people are looking to escape from the realities in our world. If you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, a lot of times I used to, like I said before, I used to reconsider my career choices and say, "Oh, I could have studied medicine, I could have studied science." But you also have to give a lot of credit to artists who have been our relief during this time. I don't know what I would have done without Netflix or Amazon Prime to be able to binge shows and just get my mind off of all the catastrophes that are happening in the world right now. And so it's definitely a wonderful thing to be a part of some type of emotional relief for people. And I take that very seriously. And I'm glad that art can be a type of saving grace in times like these.
For sure. You worked on this movie, The Wall of Mexico. You're acting in this movie. A lot of people in the entertainment industry are wearing many hats and kind of trying new things. Have you thought about maybe one day going behind the camera, doing the writing, doing the directing? Is that something that Carmela Zumbado wants to maybe do one day?
Oh yeah, my sisters and we have written a couple scripts that we're really excited about, and we would love to just go into that realm of things as well. They're specifically comedies, but I also want to tell the life story of my father, who's this world-renowned photojournalist who has just seen every major event and war and disaster.
Wow.
Across the world his whole life. So I kind of want to do a show about him. And I just have a lot of ideas up there. So yes, I definitely would love to get into the realm of writing and developing content for
I
sure.
don't think you're like me. Like, I always think of these ideas and I write them down from time to time, but my brain's always going. You know what I mean?
Right. And now's the time. It's amazing that it's become more accessible for people to be able to get their ideas out there and made into film and TV.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Carmela, thank you so much for coming on Popternative. I really enjoyed chatting with you.
Thanks for having me, Petey. You're so much fun. I really appreciate it.
Of course. So can you plug away? Like, where could people follow you on social media, and where could they see, and when and where could they see The Wall of Mexico?
Yeah, sure. We can be Instagram friends at Carmela Zumbado, or you can wait till Wall of Mexico comes out, and that will be on Amazon Prime or anywhere that you have video on demand. October 13th. Let me get it right. So I hope you guys check it out.
Oh, absolutely. Well, seriously, congratulations with all the success you've had so far as a storyteller. Like I said, I like calling you storytellers. Even if it's musicians and dancers, that's all storytelling too. You know what I mean?
Right. It's important. Keep culture going. So thank you. I really appreciate that, Petey.
Yeah, congrats with the success with you, and we're all excited to watch The Wall of Mexico. So that's awesome as well.
Thank so much. I can't wait for you guys to see it. I really appreciate it.
No problem. This has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. And until next time, this is Carmela Zumbado and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.